Today, we welcome back to the show our friend, intuitive energy healer, author, and founder of the Aramis Creative Learning Center. We welcome back Sherri Divband. Hey, Sherri, how's it going?
Hi, it's really nice to see you two again. It's been a while since we've had a chat.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's great to have you back.
I know, Sherri, we've all been very busy, and we will discuss all of that today in the interview, just what we've been doing with the Aramis Creative Learning Centers, and also go over it for people if they're new to our channel, and also talk about the umbrella, which is the Aramis Collective as well. And we do have a very exciting announcement for everybody. So we hope you all stay tuned until the end, because it is very exciting in terms of our expansion of the centres.
Yeah, so lots of important messages from Sherri to start with. But as Julia said, stay tuned for part 2 of this interview with the announcement. And you know what, Sherri, it's lovely to see that we're all colour coordinated in blue today.
I know. Yeah.
How nice is that?
It wasn't planned.
Very nice energy about it.
Yeah. But we're so happy to have you back on the show. We've all been, like we said, quite busy just organising things behind the scenes. And yeah, it's been a lot going on, and a lot of amazing, successful things happening with the centres virtually. So we're doing as much as we can in that area. But we wanted to start off today, Sherri, for the audience, just to discuss some things that have come to mind. I mean, we're in this great awakening, and there's a lot of highs and lows in and around that. And we love just picking your brain for different energy updates and things that are going on that we're all kind of feeling. And you always put it into a nice, easy to understand, palatable way for people. So we really appreciate that when we get to chat with you.
Sherri, what we wanted to start with firstly, and we're talking a little bit about this off air, but we wanted to look at the collective awakening and where we're at in terms of that process. I know you have some things you'd like to comment on with that, and just how this ties in with the Wheel of Samsara. So maybe we'll start off with explaining what exactly that is and what that means, and how it ties back to the awakening.
Yeah, this is a good point. And real quick, if there are any people who are seeing me for the first time and don't know, the information that I get from and what they mean by my sessions is I do a lot of sessions every week, about 15 to 20, about roughly a week with people all over the world, all ages, anywhere from newborn, where I work with parents, all the way to elderly. And so I have a unique perspective when I tap into someone in a session, whether I'm speaking with their higher self or their spirit guide or soul family member, or whomever's coming through for their highest good in the session. So I get a lot of information about a lot of different things, and a lot of it has to do with the collective, because the messages are coming through not for just that person, but their families, their soul family, and so on. And so it's all relative. And so I start to see patterns. So when I work with 15, 20 people a week, there are patterns that come through, and I start to see, oh man, I get a lot of the same messages, but in different ways. And I start to process it. And so one of the things that we're getting lately, and a lot of questions that I'm getting from people in their session in general, is what's the delay? What's going on? What's taking so long? And I actually, now that I think about it, I'm remembering a session I did a few weeks ago, where for the first time I actually got a number on the delay, and the spirit guide of the person said, and I want to say they said, we are 6 to 9 months behind schedule. In a sense, what they meant by that is where we are in humanity in this timeline right now, we're roughly 6 to 9 months behind where we should have been, which makes sense to me. And I think a lot of other people who are out there trying to tell everybody what they're getting in their sessions or their truths, or when they do their own readings and connect channel messages, it seems as though we are about a year behind. And it's making a lot of sense to me, because that's how I feel. I feel like, and so a lot of the things that I was seeing for people in sessions a year ago didn't happen, but are now starting to happen. It's like this whole 9 months, 6 to 9 month, even up to a year delay. And so things aren't happening as quickly as people would like. And I'll be the first to say that in my own experience, I have had frustrating delays with the whole Aramis Collective and Learning Centers and the progress we've made in our ability to move forward. And many other people who are entrepreneurs, or they are in the medical industry and they're trying to navigate to more of an alternative holistic modality, they have seen delays, and so on. And in the education system and the political realm. So there's so many facets that are being delayed right now. And the messages that I've been getting repeatedly is that the collective is not completely awake yet. There are still a lot of people. And I know that's such a frustrating thing to hear, that a lot of people are saying it. And I think people are getting to the point, understandably, well, they're like, okay, this is getting ridiculous now. Like, why can't we just wake them up? But we have to think about the soul's journey. And we have free will on this planet, despite the fact that it's not the full extent of free will. I just did a conference recently and I talked to a group of 160 people about this, and I started calling it the convoluted free will, because we don't actually have free will in the sense that we have been told. It's a limited free will. It's a system. It's a matrix, right? So the powers that have had control of this planet for however long truly they have set forth parameters of what is actually allowed. The laws that are set, the education system, and what we're allowed to achieve and attain, and what we're not, and what we can do and what we can't do. And spirituality has been one of those that has been kind of hush hush and controlled from us, because that is the true pathway to our soul and to our evolutionary path of liberation. And that is where we are. That's the path where we're going. That's what the Ascension is all about. And so we are fighting against a group of darkness, whatever you want to call it, the powers that are trying to prevent us from seeing that in any way possible, so that we don't achieve enlightenment or liberation. So there are many things that they have done to prohibit that, one of which is the Wheel of Samsara. So there's a lot of different explanations for this. And so to simplify it, which is what we always like to do in these talks, is to simplify it for people, because there's so many different terms. Remember, there's a million terms that mean the same thing. In anything we do, you're going to hear someone say the Wheel of Reincarnation, the Wheel of Samsara, the negative Wheel of Reincarnation. I mean, there's so many different terminology to explain the same thing. But we, as part of our free will, we have the ability to come back and have different experiences, different lives. That is the process of reincarnation. So we can have a couple of lives, or we can have hundreds or many thousands of lives, even outside of this network of this planet. And that is our free will. That is our right. So we have contracts with people. So the two of you have a contract together to be in the same soul family, but also the same, actual sisters in this life. I have a contract to be the mother of my 3 children, to be the wife of my husband, and so on. Those are things that we have chosen. But over time, with the powers that were and their ability to manipulate this matrix and pull us into a lower vibrational field and density, they have created the negative Wheel of Reincarnation, where people have literally been trapped here. And many people will talk about this and tell their stories about how they've been trapped for hundreds of lifetimes, and lifetimes, and the things that are that they are trapped. Generally, the themes would be enslavement, poverty, disease. That's where trafficking and all of that comes in. We don't talk about, I don't go into those specifics because that's not really our area. But the reality is, those are the reasons that they will keep people in that samsara wheel of negative Wheel of Reincarnation, so that they can keep the cycle going, because that's how they keep us in a negative vibration. That's how we stay in this third density reality. And so what I was told in my sessions, when I really didn't know that much about this, to be honest, years ago, I started learning about it through my sessions, and I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And then I would have a session with someone else and I'd find out a little bit more. That's how I learned a lot of this stuff. I don't have time to read that many books anymore. I used to read tons of books, but now it's like, I am in school when I'm in a session with somebody and I am getting information and I'm writing it down and I'm learning as I go. And it's fascinating to me. And so where we are right now is the Wheel of Reincarnation. And I talked about this probably a year ago on Nicholas Benyamin's show. So it's been a while that I've mentioned this publicly, but the Wheel of Reincarnation has stopped. The negative Wheel of Reincarnation. So nobody on this planet currently, right now, that is under the age of 80 is currently still in a lifetime of within the Wheel of Reincarnation. So that means that anybody here that's roughly, give or take a few years, that's living right now all have chosen to be here, all are participating in some active or passive way, which we could talk about that a little bit more later. We have all chosen to be here, whether we're healing, whether we are teaching and guiding, or we are doing both. So I would say a good half of the clients that I work with have been trapped in that wheel of samsara, and this life is about healing for them. They are regaining their power, their strength. And it's a tough journey because they have a lot of trauma, a lot of cell memory. They have a lot of disease. They have a lot of difficult experiences in their life that replicate previous lifetimes. Those people that are 80 and above, the elderly community that I work with, I was told this about a year ago as well, and I haven't really talked about it publicly because it's a sore subject for people, understandably, and I didn't want people to get upset. But what I was told is that a lot of the people that chose to leave the planet in the last couple of years during the pandemic period, regardless of how they left, whether it was because of this or illness or, all of those things, is irrelevant. Their souls chose to use this as a point of exit so that they could leave the Wheel of Reincarnation and their soul can ascend in the astral. So their soul is leaving the body and they're not going to ascend in the physical sense. I hope this is making sense. They chose that. They wanted to. So they used that opportunity to go. And most of them are, if not all, from what I can gather, at least the clients that I've spoken to, are now free. And they are ascending, they are healing, they are safe. They're out of that network, the negative network of reincarnation. Everyone else here has chosen to be here, again, because they're using this life to heal and ascend in the physical sense. So they want to be here in a physical body to anchor their light, to heal, and to contribute in some way. Or those that haven't been trapped in the Wheel of Reincarnation that are here to anchor light and to guide, to teach, and to help heal those that are going through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, we will experience a few more casualties, obviously, from this process that we're going through right now. So I guess, is there I don't know if you could really say, but is there a cutoff point for where that kind of stops and where we just start moving forward as a collective, and that everyone still here is meant to be here and is meant to be participating in the healing of the earth in that sense? Is there a time frame, do you feel?
I don't know. I wouldn't give it an exact date, but I do want to clarify because I can already hear my higher self saying, we need to clarify this, Sherri. I'm not saying that everybody who has grandparents right now or parents that are 80 or above are trapped and they are in a bad place. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a lot of people who are 80 and above could still be in a life where they are still within that network. But that doesn't mean that they're all going to pass away. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to pass away in order to ascend. They still can and do have the opportunity to ascend in this physical reality in this lifetime. So I want to be very clear about that. This is not a one size fits all. This is not inclusive or exclusive of anybody else. I just want to be clear about that. What the time frame looks like, at this point, it seems as though a majority of people that are planning to exit because they are not wanting to ascend are pretty much have already done it. And those that remain, either one of two options. They haven't decided yet. And I have a lot that are on the fence where I'm like, oh, it seems like your grandmother or grandfather's soul has not decided yet. Something is keeping them here and something is pulling them to go. And they're kind of trying to decide what to do. And then others have decided to stay, and they are going to choose to ascend here and liberate and ascend in this life while still being in the Wheel of Reincarnation, which is challenging, but it is possible.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're getting to that point where we're going to see less and less of those. A question that I get a lot, probably 9 out of 10 sessions. What's going to happen to my family member who got this? And they're okay up until this point. Are we really going to be seeing, are all of them really going to be crossing over? Absolutely not. Anybody that's saying that has an agenda. that is a fear-mongering agenda. Do not buy into it. It's not true. Their souls have made a choice. I truly believe that if we really we're truly in a quantum reality, right? Our soul has predetermined what role we're going to play in this timeline. So if those souls chose to be an active participant and get this, but not have any reaction, then they're not going to have any reaction. But those that chose to have a reaction for the learning of everyone else, or for whatever reason they chose, then that is playing out, but it was the soul's choice. So there's a lot of, this is a very multidimensional ascension, and there's a lot going on, and it's very difficult for me or anybody to explain every single facet of it. It's just not possible. Anyone that tries to pretend like they've got it all figured out, then I would probably put a red flag and be like, something's not right there, because they shouldn't know everything. I don't know everything clearly, but I know a lot from the information that I've gathered in my sessions. But the challenge that we're having right now in the delay is that point that I was making in the beginning of this convoluted free will that we have, is that because so many people in this world, in this earth, have had so many lifetimes in that wheel, that matrix, that wheel of samsara, there's so much trauma at a cellular level that a lot of them are so fast asleep in such a hypnotic state that they are just oblivious completely to anything that's going on. They are buying into everything that's on the TV, everything that we know is not true. They are 100% buying into it. They refuse to it's not even cognitive dissonance at this point. It's beyond that. They don't actually see it. It's two different people speaking two different languages in two different dimensional fields. And no matter what person A says to person B that's asleep, they are not getting it. You got to stop, because they are just not ready yet for whatever reason. Now, does that mean that they're never going to get it? I don't know. We have no way of knowing that. I have a lot of souls that higher, a lot of sessions that I do where I've communicated with the higher self, and they're saying, listen, I'm trying my best, but the person's just not, there's a disconnect, because with the longer you're in the wheel of samsara, that life force energy that I talk about, that connects the soul with the physical body, that life force energy, that is mine and yours and everyone else's, that's their unique life force energy. It's very dull. So they don't have a lot of communication. It's blocked, which is the third eye, that we talk about. And we know what they're doing in our food and the air and all the other things to block this, so that there is minimal connection between the two. So the soul is having a heck of a time communicating with the avatar, the consciousness, the cognitive mind in the body to wake them up.
I just want to clarify for people. So are you perhaps saying then that maybe some of those reports that we were hearing earlier on, so even as early as, say, last year, and the year before, that maybe the disastrous impact or effects on humanity may not quite be as bad as what was initially kind of perceived. So just en masse, I'm talking en masse. So not individually. Obviously, people are experiencing some bad reactions, and there's a lot of casualties in this. Some people have passed away, and there will be more. Are you just saying perhaps that it's not as bad as we may have initially thought?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I was never one of those people that bought into that. I never thought that was correct. Mm-hmm. I think that there was a large number of people that did. What I learned later is a lot of the elderly left on because they actually wanted to. And I know that's really heartbreaking and hard for those of you that lost a loved one. I'm not discounting what you went through and how hard and difficult that must have been. But a lot of them chose. They said that that's an exit point. I'm going to choose to go through it. And they are free. Like that, they are free. They are part of the ascension. And many of them, in fact, are now working in the astral realm to help us. So they're doing more now than they could have ever done before. So I never bought into that. And I think that perhaps that was the plan on some level from the dark side with population control and all of the other agendas, the dark agendas. I think that that's what they wanted. And I think that out of fear, a lot of us bought into that. But I never believed that was the case.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clarifying that, Sherri. I know the audience will appreciate that.
I've got a couple of questions though. just to further clarify. So in terms of the phrase old soul, so you were talking about how the people that were in the negative wheel of samsara, they've had so many lifetimes of trauma that they're just not, able to be awake to anything that's necessarily going on. So then what is an old soul? Because I would have assumed, and sorry if it sounds silly, but I would have assumed that people that had lifetimes of trauma maybe had the ability to be more awake than those that didn't have those experiences.
This is a really good question, and we need to clear this up because there's some confusion with that, especially when we look at how long has somebody been on this planet does not necessarily equate to how evolved they are as a soul. So it's all about our soul's experience in some way, in some reality that may not even be on this planet. So for instance, a lot of the new earth children, whatever they're labeled, the souls that are coming in, that are inhabiting the children's bodies and helping us through this ascension, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are on their first, second, third, very few lives, less than 5, a lot, not all. I've had many children that come to me and they've had, hundreds. So it's not always the case. Are they new souls? No, they're old souls. They're very evolved souls. They're highly evolved souls that are coming here in this reality, not because they want to, because it's not a vacation, but they're like, let me help elevate the planet. Let me help in some positive way. They're an old soul because they have a lot of life experience elsewhere, and they're bringing that here. They're bringing something there to contribute. Now, that being said, somebody could be here and be an old soul because maybe they've reincarnated because they want to for hundreds of lives. And they are an old soul because they've been around the block. I know my daughter is one of those. She's been here so many times. She's like, listen, I know this game. I know what to do. She won't take shit from anybody. And I know a lot of children and a lot of adults. My husband's same. My husband is like, listen, nobody can fool me. Like, a lot of people are like that. They're old souls. They're like, I know. And those people you can identify very easily. They have what's called common sense. Intelligence and common sense are 2 different things. People who have common sense are those old souls. They have it figured out. They know what to do. They have the instinct, but they also have the intellect, but they also are survivors. They can figure out they can figure out pretty much anything. How to get myself out of this? What's the best way to navigate through this situation? They have the ability to kind of use all of their senses. That's an old soul. A new soul, and I'll give you an example. My oldest, he is no common sense. I love him dearly. I'm the smartest kid you'll ever meet, but 0 common sense. When he walks from one room to the other, he's going to forget what I just told him and what to do. And you have to remind him 15 times. Is he an old soul? Not to earth. Not here. He's trying to figure out what the heck to do here. Why do you have to do this? This doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense to him. He's an old soul, but not here. So when we're using the term old soul, what in relation are we actually talking about? So there's a lot of different layers to it and what it is that we're actually speaking about with regard to what an old soul actually is. So in Earth, we consider an old soul here somebody that's been here a lot and has done a lot of things. And in reality, it's the world experience that they have in this multiverse, this omniverse, and what they have to contribute here. So the people who have been in the Wheel of Samsara, it also depends on the trauma. Some of them can come out of it completely debilitated, in such disarray, with 0 self-confidence, 0 ability to do anything because they are just completely defined by that trauma. And they could have been here hundreds of times, but it's not suiting them in this life because they are almost comatose by it. And then there are others that, as a result of that, they're movers and shakers. They're survivors. So it's really hard. This is why I don't like categories. I hate labels and I hate categories. I don't even like using star seeds. I don't even like using the term New Earth children, because where we're moving, and this is something that we talked about before coming on here, of the New Age movement and what that actually means, and maybe we can talk about that next. is the whole point of this ascension, is moving away from these labels, because it's quite confusing and misleading, because there's a lot of interpretations of it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Thank you for clarifying that, Sherri. So, so then if we've all got free will, then what happens if you don't fulfill your soul's purpose in this life on earth? Are we going to then still reincarnate again, but not in the Wheel of Samsara, the negative Wheel of Samsara, and we get another chance? And also, second part to that question is, if we actually have, on some level, fulfilled our purpose, and we know that we have our soul's purpose, and through some sort of big enlightenment or whatever it is, do we get a second purpose in this life? Does our soul get given something else, or do we just live in pure peace?
I don't know about pure peace. Who knows? I don't know. But I just want to be clear that there's a parallel reality going as well. There's the Wheel of Samsara, and then those that have chosen to be here in these different realities, these different life experiences, to switch roles, to go through positive, the good karma, the one where you learn from it, not the negative karma that you're placed into. So yes, part of the free will is, okay, if I don't get it right this time, then I'm going to come back again, and I'm going to try it in a different way. I'll have similar circumstances, but I'll build upon the wisdom from this life, bring it into this life, this next life, and I'm going to try to get it right this time. And that actually is that's part of this matrix of this world. This is what people want to do. That's why people come here. Mm-hmm. This is what this reality has been made up of for however long. It was that design, that system that the powers that were caught on to and figured out how to manipulate, so that they could be like, oh, well, they're going to keep coming back. Well, I'm going to start harvesting souls, and I'm going to create a negative wheel of reincarnation that these people don't really have a choice in the matter. And they just keep getting recycled in, and no matter what they do, they don't get out of poverty. They don't get out of enslavement. They don't get out of whatever it is that they're in. Because it's an enslavement system. It's a slave system, is what I mean to say. Mm-hmm. So because there's no negative wheel of reincarnation anymore, now we are free to choose and and our lives are going to be longer. So where we're headed, we don't actually know. The Aquarian age is this age of abundance, but I don't think it's all peace. I mean, we still are in an age of, or a reality of duality. So we still have that ego, that shadow side, and we still are going to have trials and tribulations and sadness, and things are not going to always go the way we want, and we're going to have challenges. That's how we kind of build up. But is it going to be war and famine and manipulation and power and greed the way it has been? I think that will go, and it will be built more on a fair system like it was in Lemuria. And that's where we're going. And it's cute, because I'll have sessions with people that have been here for, hundreds of lives. And they're being told by their soul team, this is your last life. You're here to help with the ascension, and you're going home. And they'll say to me, well, what, am I being punished? Like, we finally get to where we want it to be. And then I'm hightailing it out of here. Like, wouldn't I want to stay? And yeah, as if we think about it in this human construct, why would we? You would think, oh yeah, I'm being punished. I'm being kicked out of this planet once things start getting good. But in reality, they've been here for so long, they miss their soul family. They want to go home. They want to go back to wherever they came from. They're done being here. They're like, thank God they finally got it right. Now I can get out of here. But when you're living it in the moment, you feel like, gosh, I don't want to leave. I kind of want to enjoy it for a while. And you know what? At the end of the day, the soul may decide to come back again. That's their choice later, but they don't have to. They're not stuck here anymore.
Right. Wow. So fascinating.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
We could do hours and hours.
I get chills when I listen to this.
And I'm also a bit emotional as well, because, I'm thinking about our Nana and people like that, and just how that sort of will work and going forward. So yeah, I'm sure it's probably bringing up a lot of feelings for people that are watching the show right now.
Sorry, one more point. Nobody, and I've gotten this clear across the board an infinite amount of times, no one is coming into this reality right now as a newborn, a new soul coming through. No one is allowed to come in unless they are already on the ascension path. They are very stringent about who they're allowing in right now. It has to be those that are going to contribute to our evolution in a positive way, that have something to contribute, not here because they're learning. No one's coming in to learn necessarily anymore. They're here to help build up and contribute and help heal, bring in technology, bring in all the things that we need, Lemurian principles, whatever it is that they're bringing forward, they're here for that purpose. So those souls are coming. Grammy's not coming back in to do it again. So anyone that's thinking, oh, my grandma is now my grand, is now reincarnated as my child or something, likely not. That's not happening anymore.
Okay. All right.
Not forever, right now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So then, Sherri, if people feel, obviously they've got a purpose for being here, and they're quite spiritual, but they haven't been able to really connect into their true soul's purpose. Like maybe they feel like they're close, or maybe they just have no idea at all. What are a couple of things or tips or something you would offer up for people to connect into that? Maybe a little bit more quickly, because it does seem like there's this urgency, obviously, around everything right now to ascend and awaken.
So the number one question that I get in sessions with people, literally number one, across the board, is what's my life purpose? What am I here to do? And I oblige, and I'm absolutely honored and happy to speak with people one-on-one and help them figure that out. But there's only one of me, and I don't want to ever put out this, that you have to talk to Sherri, because I don't want that. I want people to be able to figure it out on their own, and no one needs me to help them. I promise you. Some people like it because it's easier to have someone help you. But in the reality, the whole purpose of the ascension is for people to look within. And that's where the spirituality element comes in. And the new age movement was really meant to derail people, which maybe let's just go there real quick, because it'll make sense. Mm-hmm. So when people started to fall off the wagon of religion and started to really question the purpose of religion, and I believe that was the indigo period. So that was around the people who are now middle-aged, anywhere from like late 30s to 60s, the indigo period. They were raised by strict Catholic or whatever religion. It doesn't matter. Muslim, doesn't matter. I'm not knocking any religion. But they were raised in some sort of very intense religious environment for generations. The indigos were the first to come in and start to question and say, I'm not really sure I believe this necessarily, or at least put the question in their mind of starting to think for themselves and recognizing some of the elements of religion were a little bit off. And so those indigos have started to raise their children to think for themselves. And so a lot of religions have taken a little bit of a back seat, and so on. So I believe what happened is the powers that were, I like to say the powers that were, because I don't think that they are anymore. The powers that were had to make a quick adjustment and said, oh my gosh, we can't have all these people straying out of the religion, because that's the control element, and figuring out that they have the ability to do so many things on their own, because they do have the power within. God really is within them. They truly are sovereign, liberated beings. They just don't realize it yet. So they had to quickly create the new age movement, where they had to recruit gurus and have a lot of authors come out with these amazing books. And yes, there's a lot of great information out there, but there are a lot of high names, which I will never talk down about anybody, but use your brain to see who connects with who. And they were placed in the new age community in a profound way, especially in ways where they could get on certain TV shows, ones, with 5 letters.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Anyways, doesn't matter. And broadcasted everywhere. So they're like, oh, hey, okay, all of you over there that are veering away from religion. Oh, come over here. We have all the answers for you. And they started to create truths and untruths or mistruths, however you say that, so that they could keep us keep the collection of people that were moving in a different direction under some sort of control, but not giving them all of the tools. and that's why I've always had such an issue as a child growing up, that I can remember teachers, I could always tell that they weren't telling me everything. And I'm like, why are you not telling me everything? And I have a big problem with those people to this day. And so when I teach, I'm like, listen, this is everything I know. And the only time I don't teach is if I'm not sure about it yet. I'm like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing yet. But the new age community is very much like that, where they took away the religion and then they put in a guru. So again, it's still teaching people, to look up to that person, or this person has all the answers. Read my books, come to my seminars, do this. And it's all another mechanism of control. And so I feel like a lot of people are starting to recognize and move out of that. And really, that's what true spirituality, true liberation, and true ascension and the Great Awakening is about. And that's what I try to help people with, is turn off all the chatter, stop listening to everybody speak, go within, because you have all of the answers you could ever want. You know what your life purpose is, because I'll tell you, when I do a session with somebody, 99% of the time, when we're done and the person says, wow, Sherri, everything you said makes sense. I've already thought of that. Well, duh, because I am just reading the blueprint. And I don't mean duh, like I'm putting them down, but it's kind of like we laugh about it together, because I'm like, I'm reading your blueprint. Your soul is telling me what it wants, and it's telling you what it wants, but you're not listening, because you need some God to tell you. You need some pastor to tell you. You need somebody that you put up on a pedestal. And, it makes me very uncomfortable when I do sessions with people and they say, oh, you're a celebrity in my house. I'm like, ew, dirty word. Don't call me that. I don't want to be a celebrity. Like, I don't want to be anyone's guru. I'm a mom of the 3 children that rely on me and my dog and cat, and that's okay. And I'll do anything for them and they can rely on me, but like nobody else, please. Like, we have to. Carly and Julia and Sherri and everybody watching this can do it on their own without anybody's help. Now, of course, it's always nice to have a community, and it's always nice to have a sister or a brother or a friend or a confidant or a spouse to talk to and help each other through it. I'm not saying this is a solo mission. Nobody is meant to do this on their own. No one's going to be thrown into the ocean and said, drown or figure it out. We're not saying that either. But true spirituality and true ascension right now, the recipe for it is to go within. So the ways to do that is disconnect, turn off the TV, disconnect from the phone, going outside, and also spending some time alone. I'm a loner. I've always been that way. I like being by myself. I'm not one of those people that's like, calls up my girlfriends, let's go get our nails done. I'd much rather go get my nails done by myself. I don't want an entourage with me. I'd much rather get all my errands done. My husband gets hurt too, because I'm always like, I got to go here. And he's like, don't you want me to come? I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, I want to be by myself. I like my own company. People need to get to know themselves and be okay with being by themselves and listening and to their thoughts. And because it's the quiet moments that I will tell you, you get the most volume. So when you're going on a run, or maybe you're doing the dishes, when you're not expecting it, the information will start to come through, the epiphanies start to come through. But when you sit on that rock and you feel like you have to be in the lotus position, and you're telling your guides, okay, now you have to tell me right now. And if you don't get anything, you're like, I can't meditate, Sherri, I can't do it. Well, okay, well, stop doing that and stop thinking about it, surrender and say, please find a way to connect with me. And they will find a way, whether it's through numbers or through song, through dreams, through your thoughts, it will happen. But people are so dead set on it, on instant gratification. It has to happen right now, right now, right now. And it's a journey. It's a journey. I have been on a journey for decades, and I'm still learning, and I'm still kicking myself sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, Sherri, I can't believe you just did that again. Like, wow, you didn't learn. So like, I'm just like everybody else. I'm not perfect, but when I get it, I get it. And I don't do it. I don't make those mistakes again. So we have to be kind to ourselves. We have to be patient. We have to love ourselves. But it's that inner reflection, grounding yourself, connecting to the earth. And I know, and I don't mean it like hippity dippity. Like I'm serious. Like, go outside, go on a nature walk, go by the water, whatever resonates with you. Be outside, because the earth is healing right now. Mother Earth is asking for us to connect. Animals are asking us to connect with them to help us heal. But if we don't quiet ourselves and stop talking, we'll never get the information to the fullest extent that we could.
Yeah. So it's all about balance, isn't it? There's times that we do need to be, in our own presence and really just kind of tune into ourselves. But then there are other moments where, it's just such a nice thing to have somebody else's energy around you. And you really need that as a to raise your vibration and as a pick-me-up, or an animal. And like you said, going out into nature. So it's all about balance at the end of the day. And I think that's sometimes the challenge for people, isn't it? Just trying to straddle that balance of getting it right. Yeah.
And I think also, in the last 2 years, everything that's gone on, I always think hopefully that's given people, and I've said this in so many videos, but hopefully that's given people that quiet time that they've needed to step back and be really quiet with themselves. It's funny, I'll just mention this quickly. Yesterday, I found an old video of myself speaking to camera 12 years ago. And I don't know, I can't remember why I did this video, but it was talking about a day in my life. And I was literally talking about the same things I talk about now, which is there's so many distractions going on, and I want to find ways where I can not feel so distracted in my life. And I was talking about how the iPhone was distracting and all these things. It was such a long time ago, and how I felt like I wanted people to be able to find what their purpose was. So it was quite...
Was it 2011 that you recorded
2010.
That? 2010.
Yeah. And I don't have a lot of recordings of anything I've done like that long ago. So... this really is, like Sherri said, it's a journey, and you probably know a lot of this stuff anyway, and you probably have been talking about it for a long time. It takes that time with sitting with yourself and just really, not feeling bad about doing that, and just, as you said, going within, and you really do need that quiet time to do that. And a part of the programming was to distract people to the point where they're always on high alert, they're always super anxious, and that takes us away from being able to trust in ourselves. So hopefully everyone can find sort of some peace within that. And as you said, it's a journey. It really is a journey.
It is a journey. And also, we're this matrix is so designed in such a left brain reality. Excuse me, I'm just getting over this cold. We have to tap into the right brain. That is the pathway to our soul. We have to get creative. We have to, in a session just today, actually, I was told that the mechanisms of healing are going to be through nature and animals, moving forward, nature and animals, music, and art. And art can be a plethora of things, right? It's not just, painting. So the modalities in which we are going to heal moving forward and tap into our intuition will fall likely into those three categories. And a lot of people are being encouraged right now to do creative writing, to listen to music, to do something that they wouldn't normally do, or prioritize their time, because they're so busy working, using that left brain, thinking. And then at the end of the day, they're so tired, they just veg on the couch and watch Netflix. And believe me, I have those nights too, where I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. I'll put on a show, something to distract myself, and that's fine. But it's all about balance, right? Like you said, we have to find that time and really work the right creative brain, so that we can, because that's really how we tap into our intuition, is through our creative side. That's why children are so dynamic, because they have endless imagination. As adults, I can't tell you how many sessions I have with people, and they have no creative side. They're like, I can't imagine that. I'm like, imagine this. I can't, I don't see it. And I'm like, wow, like you had it at one point in your life. I promise you, it's still there. You just have to open up that side. It's locked away. Nobody on this planet, by the way, everyone always says, Sherri, I want to do what you do. You're so lucky. I would love to do what you do. And I'm like, you can. Everybody can. We have just been programmed through a million different things to believe that we can't. We don't believe that we can, so we won't. But if you start to believe that you can, you will start to shift, and you will start to be able to do things you couldn't previously do. It's all about reprogramming. We got to deprogram and then reprogram through repetition, through visualization, imagination, belief. Do you believe that you're good enough? Do you actually love yourself? A lot of people have been through so much trauma, they don't even have any respect for themselves. How can you expect others to respect you if you don't respect yourself? All of these elements, but it's real, and it's valid. And we have to have compassion for those people because we don't know what their journey has been like and what has caused them to shut down, so there's no judgment.
Yeah, and like you both said, it is truly about balance. And I quite often find that just little bits at a time, because it can feel very overwhelming to be like, oh, I've got to unprogram to then reprogram. How am I going to do all of this? And so it can be really stressful. And a lot of people, people watch online or wherever, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not at that point. How can I do this? And they feel that they can't be at that level when really, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. You truly never to compare yourself to anyone else. Like it's truly your own journey at your pace and at what feels right, and that balance will keep you on a good road. You don't have to be this person or do the same thing at the same time as that person. That's completely taking you off track for what your journey is. So just eliminate that comparing to people, because it's so unnecessary. Just to circle back quickly to the beginning of the interview, then we'll move on to our announcement. I just wanted to say, Sherri, we feel like we're about, like you said, 6 to 9 months or a year behind where we necessarily should be in this awakening. And we've been feeling that as well with what we've been doing with the centers. There's these stoppages and roadblocks and yeah, a lot of it truly we feel is because there is still such a heaviness and a holding back from the dark side of things. You can't really it's hard to break through certain things at this point still. So Sherri, what is your advice in terms of people still staying very true to their personal journey as opposed to being caught up in the collective awakening? Because you can get, especially if you're sensitive, you can kind of get taken away with where the collective's at, and you're like, well, I've got to kind of pace myself, and in a way you kind of have to, but also you want to sort of stay true to your personal pace of how fast you should be going.
Yeah. And it's hard not to get wrapped up in what the collective is doing or feeling bad about yourself, because some people that are in their journey seems to be moving faster than yours. And sometimes it's an illusion. I actually had I had a session with a lady the other day who she's like, it seems like the world is moving forward and I'm standing still. And I'm like, wait, so what world are you talking about? Because I can tell you that most of the clients that I have are saying the exact same thing you are saying. And she was like, she was just taken back. She's like, really? Like she honestly thought that the whole world was moving forward and she was stuck. And I'm like, listen, I can tell you about 15 people I've talked to in the last 2 weeks that are saying the exact same thing as you just said. So where are we getting this information from? Stop watching, people put all these amazing things that they're doing on social media with, Facebook, and it appears as though a lot of people are living their best life, but of course everyone's putting their vacations and all of these amazing things. So it appears like, gosh, they've all got their everything put together. And in reality, that's not the case. We don't actually know what's happening in everyone's intimate lives. So it's about disconnecting and staying on pace with yourself and not getting distracted is huge right now. And stop comparing ourselves to what everyone else is doing. And the way I've been coaching people is, okay, what is it that you feel like you are here to do? Don't worry about not having enough money. Don't worry about all the things that you're saying that are preventing you from doing it. Put all that aside. Now put down on paper or however you do it, maybe they just want to visualize it, whatever works for them. And I said, okay, focus on that. Focus on the things that you can do right now. And if you can the only thing you can do is design it and put it out there and manifest it energetically, then that's fine. We are the architects of this new world, of the Great Awakening. We are co-creating. So create what it is that you want to see. If you really want to go back into the medical industry, I have a lot of nurses that quit or got fired, unfortunately, because of all the stuff, the politics. They want to go back in and help people. Okay, how do you want to help people? And how do you think it should be? Okay, now you can't actually change it right now, but if all the nurses and all these people collectively started focusing and visualizing on what it is that they could do and see themselves doing it, then this is how we get things moving faster.
Yeah.
And we do the stuff that we can do, and we focus on the things that we can create right now, and the things that we cannot, we don't allow it to bring us down in vibration. And with all the delays that are happening with the Aramis, collective and things like that, I could let that derail me. But instead, I'm like, okay, well, let's focus on what we can control right now. And we're moving in light speed in some areas, and then other areas it's slower. It's about focusing your attention on what you can control and staying and remaining positive, but also having faith, not giving up. Because when you decide to give up and you throw in the towel, you lower your vibration. And now guess what you're doing? You're contributing to the negative collective. And that's not going to help you or anybody else.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is what we focus so much on, this particular subject on our channel. Outside of the interviews that we do, it's all about helping people and providing them with tools to do this, just exactly how you said it, Sherri. So yeah, people go back and watch some of those videos as well if you're needing more help, or book a session with Sherri, whatever you need to do. There are ways that you can get through this, and you can build that strength, because it's like a muscle, really, isn't it? You just really have to keep practicing and building on it in that sort of sense. So
it truly is about the focus, like you said, Sherri, and it is. I think people lately, or at least for the last probably most of this year, have maybe been caught up in the fact that, oh, this hasn't happened, it's not happening. And instead of worrying about all of that, be useful within your own space and within your own life. And that is what's going to make this happen. Just doing those little things within yourself and your space is the contribution. And that's how things unfold. So it truly is the discipline and the focus. And on that note, Sherri, we wanted to talk about the Aramis Collective and the Aramis Creative Learning Centers. We've got a really exciting announcement coming up, but we just wanted to, for new people that are watching, just to talk a little bit about the 3 tiers of the Aramis Collective, and then we'll talk more about the centers.
Yes, let's start with that. So the Aramis Collective is 3 parts. And so the Aramis Collective is about moving humanity forward in a positive way. So this is our contribution, right? This is what we're working on to help the children and future generations. So the Aramis Collective is the components of the Aramis Creative Learning Center, which is what we'll talk about a little bit tonight, which is the virtual and in-person platform for children, future learning. So it's an alternative educational approach for children, and we are redesigning and giving children another platform to learn. Right now it's 100% virtual, but we are navigating and moving into the first physical location with the intention of expansion nationally and internationally. My vision is to have Aramis Creative Learning Centers all over the world, and they are not going to be uniform. They might be different depending on where they are in the world. That's the point. We want them to be dynamic. And we have the Sky Universal, which is a virtual reality platform, which we are making some good progress on that, which will provide an opportunity for children all over the world to have virtual experiences that they would not normally be able to do, field trips, all sorts of things. I'm not going to say too much right now because a lot of it is a little bit secret until we get it going. And then we have the Jordan media and publications, and that's where we have all of our animation videos. We just published one of my favorites, which is the 12th Divinely Guided Children's video, which is about animals and healing and children and what animals are bringing towards our ascension. And we are about to publish our 5th Divinely Guided Children's book on spirit animals. I'm super excited about that one. So the Jordan Media publication is about the future documentaries, films, animated videos, and books. And so there's the 3 elements of that make up the Aramis Collective. It's a nonprofit, which I should have mentioned before. So of course we are always looking to raise money to fund these different arms of the Trinity of the Aramis Collective.
Yeah, we were actually just about to mention that. So obviously, actually, I'll just go back a little bit and we'll just touch on that in a second. I just wanted to catch people up. For anybody who is watching this video for the first time, they're seeing the 3 of us together. We've done multiple chats. I think this is our 8th interview with Sherri. I've been doing it for about a year now. But we recently, and when I say recently, I mean about the last 6-8 months, we've joined forces with Sherri to work on the Aramis Creative Learning Center, and specifically the virtual side of things at the moment, developing that on an international level. So we're extremely excited, and we're very busy building all of that at the moment. And we'll talk a little bit about, what we've been doing as well. But I just wanted people to know that in case they're wondering how we're all sort of fitting in with this. But we obviously still require a large amount of funding to develop all aspects of the Aramis Collective and also the physical centers as well. So starting with the one in Florida, Sherri. So we have added the donation page. You've added that to the aramiscollective.com, so people can go there and donate if they choose to do so. Just very quickly, Sherri, why should people donate? If they're watching this for the first time, they haven't seen you before, what would be a really good reason for them to donate right now?
Great question. We are shifting the trajectory of the future of our children and their education, and how we bring them up in this world, how they learn, how they navigate this reality, and how they're going to change the future and for the future generations. And so whether you have a child, a grandchild, a nephew, a niece, or just you love children, the money, the 100% of the donations go through supporting all of those things that I mentioned, the animated videos, so that children all over the world can watch our videos for free on YouTube. So there are short animated films that display a variety of topics that we believe children should be learning in schools. It helps us create more books to pay our animators, our illustrators. It helps to pay our teachers, to help us to create more content, to have more classes, more time zones, which we'll talk about, and to fund the virtual reality. So the money goes to a lot of different places, but the idea is that it's all funding the future of the children on this planet. So not just American children, not just Australian children, but children all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And so we will say to everyone, we have been working really hard all together. We are running classes all the time throughout the month, every month on Zoom. So we have we hired some new Australian teachers back in February, and we've had classes running in the Australian New Zealand time zone since March. And there's multiple classes per month for children to choose from. And obviously, Sherri has the classes running in America and the Canadian time zone. So we also have a crossover now. So kids can join some of the American classes, and then the American and Canadian kids can join some of our time zone classes. We've really tried hard to blend that so we can reach as many children, like you said, Sherri, across the world. And that is the goal. We want to reach as many children as possible, to not have anyone feel left out or not feel like they have the chance or the possibility to learn in this way. It's intuitive based learning, which is so important, especially now.
It's so good for children to have that cultural experience as well, as well as the subjects that we're teaching, which are totally innovative and genius. Some of the content that we have. It's about the cultural experience, and we've had some really, really great feedback since this round of recruitment, putting on the Australian teachers for the Australian New Zealand time zones. But it's the cross time zone experiences that I think have been perhaps the most exciting, and where we've had the most feedback, because kids are really, and the parents as well, they're just loving, talking and communicating with Australian teachers and different children from different parts of the world. So that's been one of the most beautiful things that we've seen come out of this recruitment phase and this experience as we're developing this, isn't it, Julia?
Yeah. And like we said, just reaching as many children as possible. So if anyone wants to book classes, they can go to the aramiscreativelearning.com website. But always our classes are posted across Sherri's social media, our social media, Carly and Julie Soul Twins, our YouTube channel and Telegram, and also our Instagrams as well. Sherri's is an intuitive one, is living, and ours is 22 Soul Twins. So all the classes are on there, but there is also the classes and sessions tab on the website. But all this information will be below the video, so make sure you guys check that out.
Yes. So you can't really miss it. There's a lot of places and platforms. All the details are being posted, so go check those out. All right, so that now brings us to our exciting announcement. So as we've mentioned, we have had a very successful round of recruitment with our Australian and New Zealand time zone teachers. But we've got some friends in other parts of the world, Sherri, that we didn't want to leave out in this process. We had a lot of requests for. So I'll let you do the honors and explain what the announcement is.
Yeah, we are very excited because we've had an overwhelming request from children in the European time zones to include them, because the classes are either real early in the morning or middle of the night or really late in the evening. And so now we are going to offer soon a variety of classes within the European time zone. And we are going to recruit a whole new set of teachers for the European time zone. And so we are going to put up that recruitment after this video in all of our social media, and we will be looking to hire teachers. And so we're putting a call out to those that are within the European time zone. I know there's lots of different time zones, but we're really trying to accommodate. So there's it doesn't just have to be British. I mean, you can be from pretty much anywhere. Just we want to be able to hit all these time zones to better accommodate children everywhere. And so this is a really exciting announcement because we've been working towards it for a while, and we finally reached a point where we're like, all right, we need to do this. And so yeah, I'll give you guys the floor to tell everybody a little bit more about what we're looking for.
Sure. Just to clarify, so it is the UK and European time zones. As Sherri said, there's a little bit of difference with some of the countries there, but we should be able to cover, I think, most of them in those areas of the world. So,
and with that, we should be able to match pretty much all time zones across the world. Like there should be no problem in kids everywhere to be able to
something available.
Yes, the class. So that is our goal.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is obviously all of this information will be detailed on all of the social media platforms, but I'm going to actually read out the skills and requirements that we're looking for, because I want people that are just seeing this video to know already in their minds and start working on that. So we are looking for candidates who have skills in any of the following areas, and I'll read these out word for word. Okay, so energy healing, spiritual development, philosophy and spiritual sciences, tarot and astrology, creative arts and crafts, music, movement and stretch, meditation, breath work, academia. And I know, Sherri, you also wanted to mention animal science and animal therapy and husbandry. You also mentioned that because that's going to be a big part of your physical center. So maybe you want to touch on that a little bit as well. I know that's very dear to your heart.
Yes, and I'm really looking to add more classes that incorporate animals into the subject. So whether it's animal behavior, animal and spirituality, animal communication. So it could be very spiritual, but it could also be fundamentals and behavior and how animals are here to help us and develop a better relationship between human and animal bond. And so I'm looking really for a variety. I'd love to do an entire series on just animals. So that is very near and dear, especially considering where we're going with the in-person centers are going to incorporate animals in many different facets. And so this is really important to me. So I want to start offering more classes that involve the animals, whether it's exotics, domestic, equine, whatever, you name it, we're going to incorporate as much as we can. So we're looking for those individuals out there that want to bring that to the table.
Okay. And just to let people know, our selections in the end will be based on obviously originality, authenticity, but most importantly, what's in the highest good of the children. So what we feel ourselves and Sherri is the best fit for the children at the end of the day. So we welcome all of the applications.
So all of this will be detailed on the flyer. So you'll see that on the community tab page of the YouTube, and also on Instagram and on Telegram. And please do share that flyer because it does have all the information on there, including where to send your application, the closing date. That's all going to be on the flyer. So share around so that we are attracting in the right people, and we know that we will. So please do that if you know anyone that would be interested in this type of teaching role. And just to clarify also, it's going to start out as a casual role, so a minimum of 2 classes per month. As a starting point, you'd need to be available. And the closing date will be Thursday, the 30th of June. So there's about a month to get yourself organised and send it through to us. And of course, send applications to Aramis Creative Learning Careers@gmail.com. That will also be below our video, but also on the flyer too.
Yeah, so as we said, plenty more information on any of those platforms. So please go ahead and look at all of those. Check ours out, check Sherri's out. You'll find everything you need there. Just before we leave, Sherri, did you have any last comments before we close this video out for today?
Well, one real quick one. Please don't email me.
Okay.
So if anybody that's interested, please don't email me directly. We're going to have all of them go to the same place just so that we can keep it. Because I know some of you are going to be excited and you have my direct email and you're going to want to email me. Please don't, because it will get lost. And so just let's keep them all going to the same place. I'd appreciate that. But yeah, as far as ending it today, I just want people to keep their heads up. There's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of people that are being attacked by not only friends and family that have different views from them, but also just nefarious energies out there that's negative, and they're looking to latch onto people. So keep your vibration high, go inward and reflect, try to heal in the best way that's fitted for you, depending on your lifestyle, your beliefs. Release judgment. Stop judging people and just focus on your lane. What's going on in your life, what you can control, how you can contribute in a positive way, and don't worry about everybody else. Don't take on that burden of feeling responsible for those friends, those coworkers, those family members, or even your adult children. If you have a grown adult children, it's not your burden. It's not your responsibility. Everybody is on their own soul's journey at their own speed and their own willingness and their own soul's evolution. And I promise you, there's more to it than you can see. So we have to release that and let it go and just focus on positive right now and what you can control and how you want to, what you want to co-create. What is it, instead of looking at all the negative, if everybody just said, okay, what can I positively contribute to this co-creation, and do that, whether it's through art, through visualization, through meditation, through creative writing, whatever facet works for you. Co-creation is going to get us through this great awakening much faster, and in a much more profound way. Redirect your attention from the negativity. There won't be any fuel for that fire anymore. It will burn out.
Yes.
Yeah, co-creation, just so important. I just want to reiterate that. That was perfectly said, Sherri. Great advice for people. And let's remove this competition aspect that still exists on this planet, because we need to come together now. This is everybody in this community, people watching these videos, and just in general, we need to come together. It's just so important, because we need to speed this up. Everybody, we've got some 6 to 9 months or maybe a year to catch up on that we're behind. So we just need to get together and do this. So I do want to say that as well. Help push people over the line. Sherri, as always, it's been a fabulous chat, and I know the audience will really enjoy this video, because we haven't worked together on the videos for a while. So I know people are probably really missing it, and it's great to have you back. And we look forward to another chat very, very soon.
Thanks, everybody.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.